gonna do today? It's a mystery. I will tell you one secret. After all that sewing I did for those other dolls, I immediately wanted to sew again. It was insane. Watch out for munchkins. Usually don't like sewing, but I've been dying to sew. So I had these ideas. They're gonna be cute, kind of creepy. Hopefully they both turn out well. I don't know yet because I haven't made them. Sometimes I do these after I make stuff, and then I can tell you whether it turned out well or terrible. This time I don't know. It's a mystery for me too. Let's get into it. All right, what is this cardboard circle thing? Well, I made it as a measuring tool. It's really hard for my brain to think about sculpting something in 3D with fabric. Pattern making is something that is very brand new to me. So I wanted to make something that was this size, and I decided, well, it's not. Let's cut it a little bit more so we can make it flush. There we go. So if I put some marker on the edges here, I might get a perfect shape. I know it's not very sturdy, but it should work for making just a little outline on this paper. And then I can, keep that together. Don't make it too wide. There we go. Now there's a nice little light outline, measured perfectly for the size that I need. And then I can cut it out like bloop. And I have my first pattern. Now I have all the patterns, all out of cardstock for what I'm making. Can you guess what it is yet? No? Good. What if I show it to you in the fabric I'm going to use? Is that a clue? No? Good. 2 pieces for each one. Gonna be 3D. In case anybody was wondering, in order to split a piece of embroidery thread, I don't know how anyone else does it, but I like to use the back of the needle because it's kind of less pokey. And you just stick it through and pull it across. Most embroidery thread has 6 strands, and if you look at a kit or get used to embroidering, you'll see that you don't need all 6 for most things. It's usually like 3 or 4 and sometimes even 2. So I'm going to make this embroidery thread last by separating this thread into 3. I only need 3. It's also easier to thread it through the eye hole if it's only 3. Funny fact, I've been seeing these things for thousands of years. I've been sewing forever, but I didn't know what the heck they were for. I had no idea they were for threading needles. I've been doing it by hand, like in dum-dum, licking the thread, trying to stick it through these tiny little holes when there was a way to do it easier this whole time. So these are 2 pieces of fabric, and I'm just gonna sew one side along the line, because once they are done being sewn on one side, I'm going to open it and sew the pieces that haven't been sewn together. The hope is I will end up with a ball roughly the size of the cardboard that I used to make the pattern. Off camera, I finished the other piece, and now we can flip them out. I'm gonna put the soft side touching each other because that's gonna be the outside of this ball. So we just need to flip these out, make sure that the edges match up because we're going to sew this thing together and leave just a little hole at the bottom. 1, 2, skip a few, 99, 100. All right, all the sewing is done. Now I just have to find the hole and flip this right side out so that all of the edges are nice and hidden. You know how sewing works. And then we're going to have a round ball and see how well I put these pieces together by how round this object ends up being. Right now it's looking more oval than spherical, but we can change that by putting some padding on the inside. We're going to
have to stuff it,
and that'll make it more round. Let's get this baby stuffed. Hey, not too bad, looking like a sphere. Now let's move on to the rest of the pieces. All right, this part kind of broke my brain. So this white part has to go inside these pieces. There has to be a hole inside here, and this is also very hard to explain that what I'm trying to do if I can't give it away and tell you what this is gonna be. Eventually I worked it out and got everything sewn the way I needed it to be, but of course I did it off camera and didn't get any footage. basically all the edges are sewn together. I put some bottoms to these arm-like figures. Yes, those are arms sticking out, and I had to sew them separately from the tummy. So now I'm gonna have to turn this whole thing out through a tiny little hole. Wish me luck. 10 years later, we've got it all turned right out. We have bottoms to the arms. We have a lump, a little hole for the stuffing. I'm gonna get that stuffed.
I apologize, little guy. I don't mean to be so invasive.
Get that closed up. I wish I knew how to do a ladder stitch. I need to practice that. But you know what? You can still see a bunch of the thread on all of these hems. It's okay. Now we have a body. What's it gonna be? Here are the pieces for the extras that I'm going to put on this creature. I'm gonna take them all out of t-shirt material, and then we'll turn them right side in after they're sewn up. If you are seeing these and guessing rabbit, you're kind of right. It's gonna be like a mythical rabbit, but these ears are not gonna work. I don't know why I made them white. They need to be gray, like the rest of the rabbit. Now that that's fixed, we just need to stuff all of these extra features so that they're 3D. These ones were easier because it's just a 2D design and you just puff it up, right? Not like that crazy body. I don't know why I do that to myself. That body was almost like 4D, 5D, 6Ds. It was really hard to figure out. I made 2 of these creatures with the same body patterns and had to do them both differently because I couldn't remember how the heck I made that first body. This is me trying to do a ladder stitch. It's completely wrong. I need to practice my stitches.
I also need to have more patience with this stuff.
All right, with all of these closed up and stuffed, I'm just gonna add a little bit more detail to one of these body parts. It's probably gonna give away what the heck it is. And then we'll have all of our pieces and we can put them all together. Yay, we have all of our finished pieces. The first thing I wanna do is put the head on. I'm gonna sew it on like this, just straight up and down. It did prove to be a little bit trickier than I thought it was gonna be. I've never sewn a head onto a body before, believe it or not. It was so hard to get it through. I ended up having to use some pliers, but it got done, and now we have a head on a body. The next thing I'd like to add is the ears, but unfortunately, the power went out, and I had to stop filming. Good thing that I'm not plugged in for my camera. All my lights are off. Don't worry, my husband's on top of it. He's gonna flip it on right now. I am extremely impatient though, so I was only able to force myself to turn on like one light because it would take up too much time and be too inconvenient to turn all of the lights that I normally use back on. Eventually I had to take a break and I turned on the lights, and now we have both the ears on. So I didn't have to stop until I wanted to. Now that the ears are on, the next thing I would like to add are the antlers. Yes, I said antlers. They're gonna have 2 antlers up here on the top, and you may be thinking, okay, I know what it is, it's jackalope. Guess what? It's not a jackalope. It's not a jackalope. It's something else, like a jackalope. It's like a jackalope if a jackalope had wings. Yes, this is a real fantasy creature, and after I put it all together, I'll tell you what it is. With a snip, all the body parts are attached, and now we have to give this cute little guy some eyes. You see why I wanted to make this body like this? It's like a loaf. For his eyes, I wanted to use those seeds that I found. Oh dear, come back. I found these last fall, and I have so much of them, but how do we attach them?
Why, with hot glue, but of course.
Put a little dollop there, try not to get it all over the fabric. Got one eye sticking out really, really far. Next eye sticking out far, and I burnt myself, of course. They're not gonna go in. Don't even try to push them. So instead, I'm gonna use some felt to make an eyelid for this guy. eyes are looking nice and creepy. Cute, but creepy, hopefully. I think I'm gonna add a little color to the inside of the ears. Use some of this beautiful, very pale pink roving wool and just stab the life out of it right into these little eardrums. Sometimes you see some artwork that you were in the middle of making. I don't know if you ever record yourself. This is a new thing for me too. You see something you made, you get to see how it looks before you add something. You're like, I don't know if I should have added that. The last thing we're adding is the mouth, and I do really want to make sure that I add some teeth. So I do need to have a mouth if I'm gonna have teeth, but I did like the way that it looked with just the eyes. The mouth's gonna be a very simple thing, just an X to signify the bottom of the nose and the mouth line. It's kind of too big for these giant eyes, really. That's probably what bothers me the most about it. I'm not a huge fan of the way that the mouth kind of looks like it's on top of the eyelids. Maybe I should have scooted it down, but it was already rounding towards the neck at this point. And of course I sewed this mouth way too tight, so now I'm just trying to loosen it so it's not squishing the life out of this poor head. Let's squash it and make it a little bit rounder again. Okay, hide that, squash it. I'm gonna do the teeth with some white puffy paint, and then this little cryptid will be done, and I'll tell you his name. I was very scared to squirt the puffy paint right onto the character, so I put it on a piece of paper and then just used a dotting tool to mark the spot and pull it down. Oh, don't put it right on there. Woo! I'm scared. Okay, oh, that's not bad. Not really straight, but what you gonna do? While I have the white puffy paint out, I might as well put some teeth on our friend.
Chupacabra.
He was made in pretty much the exact same way as the other one, with the only difference being there was a different pattern for the ear shape, and also I added the arms on separately because I just didn't want to have to figure out how to get those on there, and also they stick out a lot on the other one, and so I wanted them to just lay down. It didn't really help with the laying. Uh-oh, that tooth is a little wonky. That's okay. You can have a wonky tooth.
I still love you.
Time for the photo shoot and the name reveal. Let's check these guys out in profile first. Here's his little tail on Choopy.
Head kind of needs to be squished back down. It's kind of long.
He's much softer than the other one. It was a lot harder to work with him. This other animal is called a
Wolpertinger.
So they are both cryptids. This one is of unknown origin. The Chupacabra is from South America. Wolpertinger to me sounds a lot like Rumspringa. It's when an Amish adolescent goes out and experiences the world before they come back to be Amish for their lives. I think they get a chance to pick whether they want to stay Amish or not. I'm not really sure about that. Don't quote me on that one. We all like a good rhyme. You might be interested to know that's how you get names like Peggy from Margaret and Dick from Richard, because everyone liked to rhyme. So Rick became Dick, Meg became Peg, and that's how we get Peggy. Just learned that recently, and then my son told me about it, and he's only 9, and I was like, dang, dude, YouTube's paying off for you. I hope you had fun watching. I had fun making, and I will see you next week. Bye.